Here is grade 7, module 6, lesson 1. Our I can statement for today is I can write and evaluate expressions involving rational numbers and name the properties that are used. So here's our first problem here. The properties of addition and multiplication can be used to evaluate expressions with multiple operations. These properties allow for an expression to be broken into smaller pieces that can be solved more easily, be solved mentally. So here we have our initial problem. We have 3/8 times a negative 2/3 times 3 over 2. And then in parentheses, we have negative 3/4 plus 1/2. So what we can do here, we're going to end up leaving this last part here in parentheses. We're going to leave that together throughout all of this until we actually simplify that expression. And what we're going to do to make this just a little bit easier is we're going to we're going to group some different numbers together. So associative property is talking about grouping certain numbers to make it more easily solved. So we are just grouping these two together in this first part A. And then we're using our inverse property. Notice this is 2 over 3 and 3 over 2. Okay, those are inverse. And so just like we would have 2/3 times 3 over 2, do this on the side here. Multiplying fractions, we go across our numerator, and then we go across our denominator, which 6 over 6, if you had a 6-piece pizza and you had all 6 slices, that would be 1 whole. But we're not going to forget our negative. So this ends up being -1 because there was a negative here. So now we have, let's get rid of some red here. We now have -1 in for that first set of parentheses. Now we can use our identity property. So by multiplying a number by a -1, you're simply changing its sign. So here we had a positive 3/8. Now we have a negative 3/8. So that's going to be our identity property. And now our last step here is to simplify this addition problem and what's in the parentheses. So I'm going to actually do that on the side here. We have 3/4 plus 1/2. And it's really important to remember our negatives there because that'll make a difference. If we were just adding those together, that would be, let's see, 1 and 1/4. But this is negative, so we're actually starting to the left on our number line. So if we are to the left on our number line at -3/4 and we add 1/2, we're going to end up not quite at 0, just shy of that. We're going to be at -1/4, which is what we have right here. And then we got to multiply. So we are at, let's see, 3/8 times -3/8 times -1/4. So in our numerator, we have -3 times a -1. And in our denominator, we have 8 times 4. So in our numerator, we have -3 times -1, which will get us our +3. And 8 times 4 in our denominator will get us a +32. And that will be our final answer to simplifying this expression. All right, here's our word problem. Caroline scored 8 more than 3 times the number of points that Camila scored. And then Camila scored 8 fewer points than Megan, who scored 40 points. So we have a lot going on there. Let's start to write out a couple equations to figure out what we know and what we need to figure out. So we have Caroline scored 8 more than 3 times the number of points. So 8, we're adding 8 more to 3 times the number of points that Camila scored. So 3 times Camila. And then we know that Camila scored 8 fewer points than Megan. So 8 fewer points than Megan. And Megan scored 40. So our M here, Megan, scored 40. So we have 3 different girls who are shooting and made different points. Now we need to plug in what we know. So write and evaluate an expression to show the number of points that Camila scored. So here's our step 1. Let's get some different colors here. So we're trying to figure out this part. We know Megan scored 40, so we can take 40 and plug that in for M. So we have K equals 40 minus 8. So Camila scored 32 points. Okay, so that expression would be K equals 40 minus 8. So Camila scored 32 points. Now use the number of points that Camila scored to write and evaluate an expression for the number of points that Caroline scored. So pause the video and see if we can figure out how many points Caroline scored. Unpause it when you think you have a nice educated guess. So to find Caroline, we're going to take, just like we did with Megan here, we're going to plug in what we know. So we have Caroline equals 3 plus 8, where we plug in our 32 and simplify. So 3 equals what? Let's see. We'll do that over here. 32 times 3. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. And then we still need our plus 8 here. Add that together. And then again, pause the video, put that answer into a sentence. What are you trying to find? We get these answers and we have to make sure we're following which question we're answering. So our expression here should be 3 times 32 plus 8. And that will get us a total of 104. So our answer would be Caroline scored 104 points.